Now, a British Asian filmmaker is back in Britain tonight after being detained and held in solitary confinement by the Pakistani authorities for more than 2 weeks while he was passing through the country. Tahir Shah was on his way to Afghanistan when he was picked up by Pakistani military police, detained and interrogated in what he describes as a torture room. He was given no consular access, and lawyers say his treatment violates human rights legislation. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Jonathan Miller has more.
It all started innocently enough. A British filmmaker in the Pakistani border city of Peshawar tries to track down a distant cousin. His crew, off duty, films it for fun. Monday morning, the 18th of July, 11 days after the London bombs, hundreds were being rounded up in Pakistan. On a residential street close to homes of Pakistani army officers, military police took exception to their filming. These were the last frames they shot before Tahir Shah and his two-man crew vanished from the radar.
You are not allowed from this.
It was to be 2 weeks before their families even knew they were alive.
Suddenly we realised things were actually quite serious, and military blindfolds were brought out and shackles. Lists of our stuff were made, and he announced that we were going to have a medical examination, and we thought, what the hell for? We're perfectly all right. Why the hell do you need to give us a medical? And so we were blindfolded, manacled, and with our hands really high behind our backs, which is very uncomfortable. And losing your field of vision, you begin to panic. You sweat really uncontrollably, and we were thrown in the back of a pickup truck and taken to a medical installation.
They were held in what Mr. Shah describes as a dungeon. 3 days later, blindfolded and cuffed again, they were moved to another facility, and this time thrown into solitary.
I just took a very deep breath when I was there, and for me at that moment, and really for the first 3 days that I was there, I was terrified that we would be taken out and shot. But on the second night, I heard the rattle of keys, and the guard came, and they blindfolded me and took me for interrogation. Towards the end of this first interrogation, they took my blindfold off. I was very happy, because it's a horrible thing to be blindfolded for so long, because you sweat a lot. And I realized then that I was in a torture room. There was a lot of apparatus there that you see on movies, and it's that stuff, but in movies it's usually pretty clean and shiny, and this stuff was covered in blood, and it was really quite gruesome.
After 16 days detention and long interrogations every night, Tahir Shah and his colleagues were released without charge and flown back to Britain. Only sustained pressure from his family, working with the British High Commission, got him out.
I don't know very much about human rights. I know that, or I think that that's one of your rights under the Vienna Convention, to call your embassy, and I said Vienna Convention to these guys, and they just screwed up their faces and just choked themselves with laughter, really.
Many lawyers consulted by Channel 4 News say what happened to Tahir Shah did indeed amount to torture and cruel and degrading treatment. A plethora of international conventions and UN resolutions breached.
The war on terrorism is being used to justify holding people outside the normal judicial system around the world in the name of that so-called war. And what President Bush and Tony Blair have in effect done is given the green light to states around the world to hold people without due process of law.
The Foreign Office says Mr. Shah was arrested because he'd been filming in a military area, although he'd had no idea. In a statement, the Foreign Office said it took allegations of abuse very seriously and, with Mr. Shah's consent, would request an urgent investigation. In its statement to Channel 4 News, the Foreign Office said that the Pakistan authorities do not always inform us when they've detained a UK national. This obviously causes us concern, they say, and we've raised this issue with the Pakistan authorities, most recently at a high level. We expect from them, they say, a commitment to improve. The statement adds that there can also be difficulties in achieving prompt consular access. This too, the statement says, is an issue where we will look to Pakistan to improve its record of compliance with international obligations. Yesterday, the Foreign Office was finally informed that no British citizens were among the hundreds rounded up in Pakistan in recent weeks. Yet the Foreign Office warns that if you're born British but your father was born in Pakistan, you can be regarded as a Pakistani national, even if you don't have a Pakistani passport, and refused consular assistance if you're detained. Dangerous times, it seems, to travel as a Brit and have a Muslim name.
And we did contact the Pakistani government about Tahir Shah's case, but they've made no comment to us.